I'm going to show you 15 boring service businesses you could start in 2026 that are quietly making people rich while everyone else is out there chasing flashy trends in saturated markets. These aren't sexy tech startups or complicated online businesses. They're simple, proven services that real customers are desperate to pay for right now. Some of these cost almost nothing to start, others take a bit more investment, but every single one of them is a real path to freedom if you're willing to put in the work. And honestly, one of these businesses completely changed my life. So stick around and I'll tell you exactly which one. Hey, I'm Jim. So a few years ago, I was stuck in a dead-end job, dreaming about starting my own business, but just completely overwhelmed by all the options. I wasted months chasing shiny objects, dropshipping, crypto, online courses, and ended up with nothing but an empty wallet and a lot of frustration. Then I stumbled onto something that changed everything. I discovered that while everyone was fighting over the same saturated markets online, simple, boring businesses were quietly printing money with way less competition. I went all in on one of them, and it took me from broke to making enough to quit, about 6 grand a month, within my first few months. So I created this channel to cut through all the noise and show you exactly what's working right now, so you can skip the mistakes I made and get straight to the good stuff. All right, so we're going to break down 15 boring service businesses you could realistically start in 2026. For each one, I'm going to tell you what the business actually is, how much it costs to get started, how much money you can make, and the pros and cons so you know what you're getting into. Some of these you've probably heard of, but a few of them, I guarantee you've never even considered. And stick around because number 6 is the one that completely changed my life, and it's honestly the easiest one on this entire list to start. Let's get into it. So you know what landscaping is, right? But here's the thing most people miss. When you do it for businesses and commercial properties instead of residential, the revenue becomes incredibly sticky. Like you land one commercial contract, and as long as you don't completely mess it up, that client is yours for years. So what does it take to get started? You need a pickup truck, a mower, a trimmer, a hedger, and some basic hand tools. All in, you're looking at around 13 to 14 grand to get rolling. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but here's the play. Go work for a landscaping company for like 6 months first, learn how things are done, what order to do them in, get the basics down, then start door knocking. What can you make with this? In the beginning, if you're charging around $200 a month per property and you're servicing 6 or 7 properties a day, you're pulling in 6 to 7 grand a month just by yourself. Once you hire your first guy at around 2,500 a month, you can start billing 10 to 11 grand while you go out and sell more jobs. One landscaping business I looked into is doing 5.5 million in revenue with about 10 to 15% profit margins at scale. What's the downside? Yeah, it's one of the heavier startup costs on this list, and yeah, it's physical work. But if you're not afraid to sweat a little, this business prints money. Here's what I love about fencing. The average job ticket is high. We're talking anywhere from 3 to 10 grand per job. And you don't need to be an expert to get started. Like one fencing company owner I know had never built a fence in his life when he started. He just made a website, threw $1,000 at Google Ads, and when people called asking for prices, he literally made them up on the spot. Figured it out as he went. And what about startup costs? A truck, a drill, shovels, saws. About 15 grand total. And here's a pro tip. Pick one type of fence and master it. This guy focused only on wood fences, and that specialization helped him scale way faster. Profit margins on fencing can hit 45% if you're running lean. And as a one-man operation, you could realistically hit $1 million to $1.2 million in revenue. Now, the downside, there's no recurring revenue. Every job is a one-time sale, which means you're always hunting for the next customer. But if you're good at sales, this business can move really fast. Okay, you might be wondering, what on earth is parking lot striping? It's exactly what it sounds like. You paint the lines in parking lots. Those yellow lines, the handicap symbols, the arrows, that's literally it. And here's why it's kind of genius. By law, property owners have to maintain their parking lots. So there's always demand. You're not convincing anyone they need this. They already know they need it. Startup cost? You can literally get started with some tape, a paint roller, and a can of paint. A couple $100. If you want to get serious, a 2-gun striper machine lets you knock out jobs way faster. One guy I talked to quoted a job at $2,800, and it took him like half a day. How do you even find customers for something this niche? You reach out to property managers and paving companies. The big paving companies don't want to deal with striping, so they subcontract it out. Build relationships with them, and they'll just feed you work. The con? Similar to fencing, there's not much recurring revenue. A parking lot might only need restriping every 2 to 3 years, so you're constantly looking for new jobs. But the margins are fantastic and the barrier to entry is basically nothing. This one's a classic, and for good reason. Everyone has windows, homes have them, businesses have them, storefronts have them, and they all get dirty. You can get started with a bucket, a squeegee, and a scrubber for around 150 bucks. That's it. Go knock on doors and you're in business. But here's where it gets interesting. Once you level up and get a deionized water system and a water-fed pole, you can clean windows up to 5 stories without even using a ladder. That equipment might run you 1,000 bucks, but now you're doing bigger jobs way faster. The real money, though? It's in the upsells. You show up to clean windows for 400 bucks, but then you notice the gutters are dirty, the garage door is filthy, and the house could use a wash. By the time you're done, that $400 job is now a $1,200 job. One window cleaning business I looked at has multiple trucks each bringing in $1,300 to $2,100 on good days, and there's a recurring element here. Some customers will book you monthly. Most will book you a few times a year. The only real downside? It's a bit seasonal. When it rains, people don't really call for window cleaning, but you can offer a rain guarantee to combat that. Now, this one you've probably never heard of. A pack-out business helps homeowners when disaster strikes, like a flood, a fire, something that makes their home unlivable. You go in, pack up all their belongings, furniture, dishes, everything, store it in your warehouse, and then move it all back in once their home is repaired. Why is this business so interesting? Because you're not billing the homeowner directly, you're billing insurance companies, and insurance companies have fat budgets. Instead of charging $1,000 or $2,000 like a normal moving company, you're charging 20 to 25 grand for a full pack out. The move back, another 7 grand. And you charge monthly storage fees on top of that. Startup costs are surprisingly low. A U-Haul rental, some labor, boxes, and tape. You could get going with just over 1,000 bucks. One pack-out company I looked at is doing $2.1 million a year, and their whole operation runs out of a single warehouse. The downside, you need industry connections. Restoration companies and insurance adjusters are your referral sources, so there's a relationship building component. And because you're billing insurance, you might not see payment for 2 to 3 months while you front the costs. But if you can handle the cash flow, this business is incredibly lucrative. All right, this is the one I told you about. And I'm not just recommending this one. I actually built this business myself. Took me from stuck in a dead-end job to making enough to quit. About 6 grand a month within my first few months. So here's the problem every local business has. Plumbers, contractors, salons, dentists, they're out doing the actual work, which means they're missing phone calls. And every missed call is a missed customer. Studies show local businesses lose anywhere from $15,000 to $40,000 a year just from unanswered calls. That's a massive pain point. The solution? AI receptionist. Basically, an AI that answers every call, books appointments, answers questions, and sounds completely human. Local businesses will pay 500 bucks a month for this because it pays for itself almost immediately. So how does this business actually work? You're not building the AI yourself. You're selling the service to local businesses. You find the client, you close the deal, and a tech team handles all the setup and support. You're basically a sales rep with your own business. You might be wondering, do I need to be technical to do this? Not at all. You don't touch any of the tech. Your job is to find businesses that need this, show them how it works, and close the deal. That's it. Startup cost? Under 500 bucks to get going. You need access to the platform and some basic sales training. No trucks, no equipment, no employees. Here's where it gets interesting. You charge the business $500 a month, and after your platform costs, you're keeping around $300 to $400 profit per client. And this is recurring revenue. That client pays you every single month for as long as they use the service. Let's do the math real quick. You close 3 clients, that's around $1,200 a month in profit. You close 10 clients, you're at $4,000 a month. I've seen people scale this to 30, 40, even 50 clients, and they're making $15,000 to $20,000 a month in recurring revenue. All without doing any of the technical work. And the best part? You can run this from anywhere. Your laptop, your phone, a coffee shop, another country, doesn't matter. You're just connecting businesses with a service they desperately need. What I love about this business is the low startup cost, the recurring revenue model, and the fact that you don't need any technical skills. What I'd say is the challenge is that you do need to be comfortable with sales. You're going to be reaching out to business owners, getting on calls and closing deals. If that terrifies you, this might not be the right fit. But if you're willing to learn, it's honestly one of the fastest paths to real income I've ever seen. If this one interests you, I've got a free training that breaks down exactly how to get started. Links in the description. Yeah, I'm talking about trash, picking up people's garbage. And before you click away, just hear me out. One guy I talked to started his waste collection business because the trash company in his neighborhood got bought by private equity and the service just went downhill. People's trash wasn't getting picked up. So he posted on the neighborhood Facebook group and basically said if 200 people signed up and paid for 3 months up front, he'd start a trash company. Within 10 days, 150 people signed up and he raised 15 grand in revenue before he even had an LLC or a bank account. Now he's doing just under 18,000 a month with about 20% margins. If he drove the truck himself, that margin would be closer to 40%. The key is location. Don't try this in big cities like New York or LA where the major waste companies have locked up contracts. Rural areas and smaller towns where people pay individually for trash service, that's where you can slide right in. Minimum startup, a truck and a trailer. One competitor literally runs an F-250 with a trailer, reaches in, grabs the trash bags, and tosses them in the back. You can start pretty scrappy. What I love about this business is the customers are insanely sticky. People need their trash taken out every single week. Once you have them, you have them. This might sound old school, but people still buy firewood. And if you can get the raw material for free, as which you can, it's almost pure profit. Here's the play. Go on Facebook Marketplace. People give away logs and tree cuttings all the time. Or check your city's bulk trash pickup schedule and drive around the day before. People leave wood out by the curb. You take the logs, leave the branches. Now you need to split the wood. You can buy a log splitter for around $1,600. Or if you don't have that, just rent one for $70 to $90 a day. A cord of firewood, which is a stack 4 feet by 4 feet by 8 feet, sells for about $450. The guys doing this consistently are pulling $1,000 to $2,000 a week in net profit. The downside, it's seasonal. Winter is when demand spikes, and the delivery part is labor intensive. You're loading up a truck, driving to someone's house, unloading it, and stacking it in their backyard. But if you don't mind the physical work, it's basically turning free stuff into cash. All right, this one's not for everyone. But if you've got a strong stomach, there's serious money here. A biohazard cleanup company handles anything too dangerous or disgusting for a normal cleaning crew. Crime scenes, hoarding situations, sewage backups, homeless encampments, deaths in homes. Basically anything gross that regular people won't touch. Who pays for this? Cities contract out homeless encampment cleanups. Homeowners pay out of pocket for hoarding cleanups. Some death-related cleanups get covered by insurance. One company I looked at is doing around $800,000 a year in revenue with about 50% profit margins. Their average job size is over $4,200. One hoarding job they did, and I won't get into the details, but it was 24 grand. Startup costs are actually pretty low. You're basically a glorified cleaning company with specialized disinfectants and PPE. Get some training, get certified with your state's health department, and you're ready to go. You can even rent trucks and dumpsters as needed. The cons? You're dealing with some genuinely rough scenes, and the work is physically demanding in those heavy protective suits. But if you can handle that, there's very little competition because most people just won't do this work. Have you ever seen those walls covered in plants inside fancy hotels or office buildings? Those are called living walls, and installing them is a real business. One living wall company I looked into does 7 figures a year. Their clients are architects, designers, high-end residential properties, hospitality venues, and commercial buildings. They even did a living wall for Bad Bunny at Coachella. That one job? Over $100,000. Living walls price out anywhere from $160 to $220 per square foot. These companies charge $300 just for a site visit, and they close nearly 100% of those visits. Margins are around 45%. This is a premium luxury service. If you have any kind of design background or passion for plants, this could be a really cool niche. The clientele has money, and they're willing to pay for something unique. The downside? Similar to fencing and striping, there's not much recurring revenue. You're constantly selling new installations. But when single jobs can hit $10, $20, $30, even $100,000, you don't need that many clients to build a great business. You've definitely seen mobile detailers around, but most people underestimate how much money is actually in this business. The barrier to entry is super low. So, microfiber towels, some brushes, and a vacuum. You can get started for $100 to $150. One detailer I talked to started with a beat-up Honda Civic, a tiny generator strapped to his roof, and basically nothing else. Now he's running a full operation out of a van. A basic detail might be $60 to $80, but deep details start at $265 and up. And if you get high-end clientele with luxury cars, you can charge $1,000 to $2,000 per detail. That's not a car wash. That's a full interior and exterior restoration. A good detailer can make $70 to $80 an hour. And there's a recurring element here too. Cars get dirty constantly. Get a client on a regular schedule and they're calling you back every few weeks. The only downside is the low barrier to entry means more competition. But honestly, most people won't wake up early, work in the heat, and put in the elbow grease. If you're willing to outwork the competition, there's plenty of demand. This one sounds almost too weird to be real, but it actually works. You put vending machines in bars and nightclubs that sell things like phone chargers, vapes, condoms, hangover prevention drinks, and novelty items. One guy started this in college by reselling vape pods to his fraternity brothers. He was making $750 a day before he decided to automate it with a vending machine. First machine did $4,000 in revenue. Now he has machines all over the country. Startup cost for one machine is around $4,000 to $5,000, including installation and initial inventory. Average machine does about $1,200 a month in revenue with 35 to 40% net margins. That's roughly $500 a month profit per machine. And some whale locations, they're doing $15,000 a month in revenue. The products have crazy margins too. A disposable camera bought for $6 sells for $20. That's over 70% margin. Now the downside? Getting machines placed, stocked, and maintained is a hustle up front. You're dealing with sourcing products, sometimes from overseas, customs, logistics, finding locations, negotiating placement deals. It's a headache at first. But once it's running, it's one of the more passive businesses on this list. Building decks for high-end homes is a serious business. One deck company I looked at went from $0 to $1 million in their first year. This is construction work, so you typically need a contractor's license. But the margins are solid. They bid projects at around 50% gross margin. A $60,000 deck project costs $30,000 to build. On a $1 million business, the owner is taking home around $150,000 in profit plus an $80,000 salary. That's over $200,000 a year. The materials can get expensive. High-end Brazilian hardwood decks can last 75 years if maintained properly, but they're priced accordingly. What I don't love about this business is the long sales cycle. There's lots of customization. Sourcing materials takes time, and actually building the deck is a whole process. Your cash conversion cycle is pretty stretched out, and you legally need that license to operate. But if you have construction experience or you're willing to get licensed, there's great money in high-end outdoor living spaces. This is one of the easiest businesses to start on this entire list. A basic pressure washer from Home Depot runs $300 to $500. Add a garden hose and some tips and you're ready to make money. How much money? Pressure washers are charging $200 to $300 an hour. Some guys I know are hitting $500 to $700 an hour on bigger jobs. You wash driveways, houses, patios, commercial properties, and here's a smart play. If you're already doing window cleaning, pressure washing is the perfect upsell. You're at the house, you clean the windows, you look at the dirty driveway and say, hey, I can take care of that too. You just doubled your ticket. There's a recurring element as well. Houses and driveways need washing every year or two. You're not getting monthly recurring revenue, but customers do come back. The downside? It's not as recurring as I'd like. You're waiting a year or more to service the same customer again. But for pure ease of starting and immediate cash flow, this business is hard to beat. And this one proves you can turn almost any skill into a business. One soccer coaching business I looked at is run by a guy who just trains kids to get better at soccer. That's it. He runs camps and training sessions at local fields. A 3-hour camp with 30 to 40 kids brings in $3,000. His best month was nearly $15,000, and he closed out last year at $110,000 total. Startup costs, a website, some balls, cones, a few pop-up goals, and a speaker for music. About $1,000. Parents will pay top dollar if they think their kid has even a slight chance of going pro. And here's the thing. You don't need to be a professional athlete. You just need to be 1 or 2 levels above the people you're teaching. The downside? You're location dependent. You have to physically be there at the field with the kids. Until you hire other trainers, you're trading time for money. But if you have a passion for a sport and enjoy working with kids, this business can be really rewarding, both financially and personally. So there you have it. 15 boring service businesses that are quietly making people rich while everyone else chases the next shiny trend. You've now got the startup costs, the revenue potential, and the real pros and cons for each one. If you got value from this video, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I'm putting out more content just like this to help you build a business that actually works. And if that AI receptionist business caught your attention, business number 6, I've got a free training that walks you through exactly how to get started, step by step. Links in the description.